Hey, everybody, welcome to the Leaders Well podcast. We're so excited for you to join us today. And here's our promise every time you come join us in an episode is that we're just believing you're going to leave more full than you came. Because here's what we believe here at the Leaders Well, that you can only be as effective as you are full. And here's the truth, you cannot give what you do not have. So we're just trying to make sure that the well for us as leaders is full, so that as we continue to give, we're giving from a place that's got enough resource to share and bless others. So we're going to jump into some content today, but I do want you to know that we're going to be coming out with this podcast every first week of the month. Every first Friday is our intention, and this content is going to range anywhere from interviewing some unbelievable leaders that I feel like have great rhythms and are holistically strong leaders to just conversation ones like this. So I'm really excited about jumping into this, and we're going to kick it off with a talk that I really think is going to impact you. So let's jump right in. All right, today I want to talk to you about something that is so important to me because it's really kind of the banner of this season of my life. Here's what we'll just call it today: embracing your season. Every leader has more capacity, I believe, than they are currently experiencing. But we have to learn the art of contentment, to be in the season we're in and not focused on what we've lost, what we've left, or what's coming up in the future, but to be present and content. So here we go. The best way to fail a test is to take one that was not meant for you. I would even rephrase it and say the best way to fail a test is to take one that was not meant for you yet. I don't care how good of a third grader in some sport is, they are not going to be able to compete with people at a certain level. The truth is you've got to take the test for the season you're in. The fastest way to failure is to attempt to make something happen before it's time. Habakkuk 2 and 3 is one of the most frustrating scriptures in all of the Bible to me. I think all the scripture is given by inspiration of God and it's profitable. But the truth is there's some scriptures that just kind of hit you differently and can be frustrating when you really think about it. Here's what it says: the vision waits its appointed time. I don't like that thought because the truth is I want to experience it as soon as I see it. And the appointed time in my mind is right now. That's the blessing and the curse, if you will, of being a leader, which if you're a leader, you've got vision, you're able to see further and faster than other people, is that you can see it faster than you can experience it. And that gap between what you're experiencing and what you can see or what you can hope for, that gap can be filled, if we're not careful, with frustration. I define frustration as this: the gap between expectations and reality. When your expectation is here and your reality is here, that's what frustration is. And as leaders, we have high expectations of ourselves. We have high expectations of the people around us. We have high expectations of our mission and our calling. And if we're not careful, we will live frustrated lives because we are not content, or we have not learned the art of filling in that gap between seeing it in the future and it coming to fruition with something besides our frustrated angst and striving and frustration. Example, I wanted to start this podcast 10 months ago. I've been talking about this for a year. Last year, at this time, I remember sitting at a dinner table telling somebody, almost with tears in my eyes, about how important it was for us to get out content and podcast and communicate to people in the format that they needed it. And here we are in December, and because of some technical difficulties with some episodes we've recorded, as well as just some real life difficulties that have made this harder to start in a sustainable way than I anticipated, here we are. And if we're not careful, those gaps between when we see it a year ago and when it's happening in a year or two or three or four, whatever it is, can be filled with frustration. I'm a pastor. I do coaching, speaking, but I've got 4 young kids in the house right now. and a wife that's raising these four young kids with me. And we got a church that I love, and I'm pastoring that's 7.5 years old. And here's the thing: there are things that I see for my future, see for this ministry, I see further down the road than what I'm experiencing. If I'm not careful, I could look at the capacity limits of this season. For example, with four young kids, there's just going to be a different level that I have access to in certain areas of leadership. I hope and I know there's certain areas I'm just going to be more effective in a different season of my life when I have more margin in my day-to-day rhythms. But the truth is that acceptance of the limits of your season is one of the hardest things for a leader to do. And here's the truth: you may be watching this right now and going, well, I wish I was married, or man, I wish my kids were still in the house. And you're in a different season than me, and thinking, well, you don't know how good you have it. And the truth is, that's exactly what I'm talking about, that the enemy would like all of us to be discontent in the season that we're in, and constantly thinking that we're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and we're not in the right season, and things were better back then are going to be better in the future. And here's the truth: there is no perfect season in life. As soon as your pimples clear up, your mind begins to get foggy, one writer said. And the truth is that all of us are in this constant pursuit of being content where we are, and knowing that there's never the perfect place, the perfect season, no matter where we get to in life. Perfection is something reserved only for heaven. So if we are going to be present and be content and not be frustrated as leaders, there's a few things that I just had in my mind and in my prayers I just wanted to kind of share with you, that I'm working through right now, that maybe will be a blessing to you, that could help us be more content, fulfilled, and less frustrated leaders. Here we go. Number one, you've got to decide your wins. Number two, you've got to declare your limits. Number three, you've got to deal with the dysfunctions of your particular season. We'll get to that in just a moment. Number one, decide your wins. I read a book recently, actually called Essentialism, and one of the key frameworks was talking about how leader types are the ones that have the hardest time accepting what the writer calls trade-offs. In other words, that there is real trade-offs or real things we have to give up to be able to go up. There is no ability to be all things to all men all the time in everything. And when you're young, I'm teaching my young kids right now, just good and bad, right? Right and wrong. But as you grow as a person, and especially as your leadership capacity begins to grow, you go and mature beyond good and bad, and you have to start choosing between good and best. And what's so hard about that is when you start to choose best of your time, best for your energy, best for the season, you are also saying no to some really good things. And when you decide a win of a season, you're also deciding that you're going to not win at some other things, which leader types have a really hard time accepting. In this season of my life, I'm trying to win in a lot of ways, but I'm gonna tell you two areas that I have to win in right now. Number one, I gotta win with my family, and I really gotta win with my financial planning in this season of my life. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Let me just say this about my family. Here's the thing: I say it like this: my mornings are for God, my days are for are for work, and then my evenings are for my family. Um, it's not that I never do counseling appointments or meetings or those are great things at night, but the truth is there's nothing more important I can do this week than what I did earlier this week, sitting at the dinner table with my family, passing around the salt shaker. We call it our salt shaker microphone. And we go around the table and everybody says the good thing and then the hard thing. And sometimes my daughter Lily takes a really long time because she loves to share these elaborate stories. And guess what? There's nothing more important in my week than looking at my little girl Lily, telling her long story and making sure she knows her daddy's paying attention to her. And that means that there's some things that in a later season of life, for those of you that maybe have teenagers or beyond, there's a season of my life where I'm gonna be, these kids are gonna be everywhere, and they're gonna be, doing their own thing a lot of times, and I'm gonna be able to do more night meetings, and I'm gonna be able to do more things in those spots. But right now, I can't not win there. And I've just had to come to grips with that and understand that that's part of my win in this season. Um, my question is, what's your win in this season? What's a picture of an area and a place and a rhythm that you just gotta win at right now in the season that you're in? I won't stay here long, but I'm realizing financial planning for me has got to be a win. I can't afford to wait until the end of my pastorate to plan for the future. Uh, and I'm a pastor and I want to take care of things now and I want to reach people now and I want to do this now. And it's hard for me to slow down and go, okay, I might have to give up some opportunity in this way so I can win in my future financial planning. But at the end of my pastoring 25 years from now, I want to be a blessing to the church, a contributor, not to have to be a burden in some ways as I transition. And guess what? That's hard. That's easier said than done because to win with long term financial planning is going to mean to lose with some short term initiatives and goals, trade offs. So, if you are going to be the leader that embraces your season, lives full, doesn't live frustrated, you're going to have to decide some wins and therefore decide some places you're not going to win as much. Number two, you got to declare your limits. Um, clarity is kindness, they say. And the truth is, you have limits whether you clarify and communicate them or not. You don't have infinite energy. You don't have infinite time. You don't have infinite resource. And if you don't clarify your limits, it's going to be confusing and frustrating to yourself and those around you. I remember I had a youth pastor that years ago that was in a season of life where they were really trying to build for their future. And I was used to like every youth pastor, paying for everything. And I remember, they would basically say like, hey, and we're not going to pay for this. And I just remember the first time watching somebody say no in a ministerial context because they had a goal that was bigger than what was happening right then, and it still sticks with me. And I wasn't offended by that. It was actually inspiring to me that somebody was not mean but firm about a certain limit. I can't afford to do this. I can't make this decision. Henry Cloud wrote a book that many of you have read. If you haven't, it's a great one to check out for 2026. It's called Boundaries. And he talks about the fact that you have to establish boundaries in your life, in your emotions, in your mind that's equivalent to like a property line at your house. Just imagine that everybody in your life could come in, your organization, your family, your friends, people could just come over in your house, on your property, in your room, whenever they wanted, without any kind of boundary. That would be insane in your mind. But the truth is, as we would think that is insane about our physical property, we've got to establish some boundaries in our emotional property. And again, not be rude. We don't have to be isolationists. We don't have to push everybody away. Example, I have in laws that live with me, literally. Um, and I'm an introvert. So it's not that you can't be around people or not that you can't have people in your life, but we have established clear kind of boundaries around even how we live together. And I just want to communicate this to you. And this is something I'm working through right now is a boundary not communicated is a boundary that will be frustrating for somebody. Either you'll be frustrated, or the people around you be frustrated. Either you'll always feel like a victim and why is everybody always bothering me and I can't get this done because I'm so distracted. Yeah. Or you're gonna answer to everybody and do everything everybody wants, and then the one time they ask for something and you don't get it done, they're gonna be frustrated because they don't know when to catch you. They don't know how to find you or what mood you're gonna be in. You've got to declare your limits. I take a Sabbath day every week. I typically don't respond to text before 10 a.m. I try to schedule appointments in the church with the help of an administrative assistant. And that's not because I want to be isolated or be unkind. It's because these are just a few limits in my life that help me stay healthy and be at my best when my best is needed, as well as put me in a position for sustainability over my life. And this is really hard. It's very difficult. It's something I'm even actively working on right now. But you've got to declare your limits. And I'm telling you, the people around you, They will not reject you for having limits. They'll actually appreciate it. And Henry Cloud would say, if they don't, they're probably a toxic person and they're going to get offended about something else. uh, I remember when I had a pastor that I smile every time I think about him because he was such a fun guy. And he stood up when I first started serving under him. I was on staff with him, and he stood up and he told the church he was going on vacation for 3 weeks. And I just thought, my goodness, how in the world, is this going to happen? He said this, and it was amazing because the people in the church weren't offended. They were thankful because they got to at least know with clarity our pastor's prioritizing his energies, prioritizing his soul, prioritizing his family. And here's the thing, you'll be shocked at how healthy people in your life will respect and appreciate you setting some boundaries, some limits, and just being clear about them. So decide your wins, declare your limits, and number 3 quickly is deal with the dysfunctions of your particular season. Every season of life has its particular unique blessings and burdens associated with it. Example, it's easier to get healthy as a young person than it is when you're in your 70s and got a bad report from the doctor. But at the same time, it's a lot easier to make money in your 40s and 50s than it is when you're in your young 20s. Every season has its blessings and its burden. And I just want to stop and say this. If you don't deal with the dysfunction of the season you're in, it's coming with you in the next season. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, whether it's a young person or somebody like that says or thinks out loud or thinks to themselves, well, I'm navigating this certain, area of my life right now, but if I get married, that's going to fix it. And it's so wrong because that baggage, that dysfunction is going with you into the next season. Uh, Maybe you're in a different season of life and your issue is not that you are taking this certain thing into this next season, but you got jadedness or you've been hurt so many times that you're just, you're isolating yourself, rough around the edges, don't trust people. And that's associated with certain seasons of life. I'm just telling you, you're going to have to make a decision to deal with these dysfunctions. And just like a car engine that breaks down cannot fix itself, you cannot fix your own problems. You're going to have to get somebody in your life to come work with you, whether it's a counselor, a pastor, a leader in your life, somebody to help push you through. I have had coaching that I had coaching pretty much every month of my leadership where I have people that are speaking in and trying to pull the best and the next out of me. And I'm telling you, the great leaders, and I'm not saying I am one, but every great leader I know has that kind of mentality that I'm not going to let the dysfunctions of my season carry into the next place. I'm not just going to get older, but I'm going to mature. So go ask a farmer. If you try to deal with an issue in the wrong season, you'll lose your crop. I remember when I was playing college football, if you try to come in to the preseason not already conditioned from the off season, when everybody else is trying to learn the plays and competing for playing time, you are still trying to get yourself in shape to even compete because you try to do the wrong thing in the wrong season. I want to encourage everybody watching this right now or listening to this, wherever you find your podcast, that we've got to embrace our season and decide our wins. We've got to declare our limits and we've got to deal with the dysfunctions of our season. So I hope that was helpful to you and added value to you. Again, we're going to do interviews. We're going to do all kind of things just to continue to fill your well as a leader. If this was a blessing to you, please let me know in the comments or make sure to reach out to me here or on Instagram, wherever you can find me. And remember this, we have to continue to fill our wells as a leader. Why? Why do we got to fill our well? Because we cannot give what we do not have. And you can only be as effective as you are full. So let's continue to fill our wells as a leader. I'll see you the first week in January with the interview podcast. It's going to bless you. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Leaders Well podcast. We love you, praying for you. We'll see you next time.